If you're thinking about buying a townhome in Toronto, you need to stop right now. This is what you think you're getting, but this is what you could be getting, and this is the one that's going to hurt you. There are 6 different types of townhomes in Toronto, and making the wrong choice could cost you thousands in hidden fees and future headaches. We're going to break down every single type of townhome and show you exactly which one you need to watch out for. This is the ultimate Toronto townhome guide. Let's dive right in. Hi, my name is Zen. If you enjoy my data-driven and number-crunching real estate updates, be sure to like and subscribe. There are so many different types of townhomes in Toronto, and it's very confusing for a lot of our clients who are actually looking for this. So I'm making this video to educate you on the 6 most common types of townhomes that are out there, because when someone says they're buying a townhome, it could mean many, many things. And at the end, I'll give you my sleeper hit on which one I think is the best value, regardless of where you are in the city. So let's start with the types of townhome. The first one you have is stacked townhomes. These are townhomes that basically feel like condos and are condos, and they're one on top of one another, which is stacked. Then you got what we call the Podium condo townhomes, which are your townhomes, but they're part of a large condo complex. And then we have your traditional condo townhomes, which is generally what most people are thinking of when they think of townhomes, but in a condo form. So everything on the left-hand side over here that you can see that's red are going to be condo townhomes that do have a maintenance fee associated with it. And the pros to it is that you're obviously going to get it for a lower price. The con is that you have maintenance fee and you may get special assessments, meaning you may have to pay for massive repairs. And the con also is that if you want to do any kind of changes to the exterior, you need condo board approval. Now, when we get to the right-hand side, you go into the freehold. So these are what we call freehold townhomes with fees. And yes, there are fees with freehold properties, which I'll get more into later. Then you have your back-to-back freehold townhomes. And then you have your traditional freehold townhomes, which is kind of the pinnacle of what people are looking for when it comes to saying, hey, I'm going to buy a townhome. So let's dive deeper into each 6 of these subcategories. So your traditional stacked townhomes will comprise of your upper unit and your lower unit. So we're generally looking at something like this. To the untrained eye, they won't know that it's a stacked condo townhome. And a lot of people, when posting the listings online, will effectively try to catfish you to go look at the property. And I've seen this many, many times before, but I know what to watch out for. So with condo stacked homes, there are generally 2 types, the lower one and the upper one. And you can see in this picture over here, it's showing you that the lower one is effectively a condo that's 2 stories, that's a basement unit. And then the upper one is effectively a 2-story condo, but you have to go up a flight of stairs, but you have better light. So with the lower unit, that's usually a dead giveaway. So when you look at these windows, you can see that the ground floor is actually right here. So you're effectively walking down a couple of flight of stairs into your main floor. And you can see this right here. You're basically walking down 6 steps to get here. The other problem is that you have a lot of people who live on the upper units that go all the way up. So your cons to this, obviously, you're in a basement. You may have foot traffic and noise if it travels to the unit above you on top of being beside you. So the only way noise doesn't travel to your unit is being from the ground, because there's nothing below your unit because you're at the lowest point. And one of the common things that you do see a lot in condo stack complexes is you have this giant kind of moat or arch or parkway that's over here. And it looks very, very nice because you could look into the greenery. But one of the biggest problems that we get from a lot of our clients, and why we a lot of times tell them, hey, you may want to consider increasing the budget and getting out of the stacked condo townhome, because these homes don't last for a very long time. And let me show you why. Most stacked condo townhomes do not have a dedicated access to your underground parking. So it's actually worse than living in a condo, because instead of taking the elevator, you actually have to walk outside to access the underground parking, which you can find over here. So if you're, say, living in the lower level unit here, you basically have to walk all the way outside in the snow, sometimes with even ice, go downstairs to get your car, and then you come out in some way, shape, or form in the underground parking. If you work from the upstairs unit, you almost do the exact same thing. You kind of come out over here. Now I want you to imagine you are dropping off a big lug of groceries, maybe a Costco run or something. You can't leave your car on the street over here. You basically have to lug all your stuff through the underground parking and right back up here, because there's no direct access to your parking spot. This is the biggest drawback of a stacked townhome. Now imagine if you're thinking about starting a family, and this is where a lot of our clients going from a condo to townhome are considering. What if your stroller? What about lugging your baby car seat? It's a lot of work, and it's very annoying, especially in the winter time. And thinking about having to dress your child just so you can get to the underground parking. It's a huge pain, a real huge pain. So this in itself could be the biggest deal breaker for most people looking to stack condo townhome. The pros to this is they obviously come at a much lower price point, and the maintenance fee is reasonable, and you're generally located in a pretty good area. And generally, a lot of times, these are pretty new products with like black window trims and nice opening concept because land is scarce in the last 5-10 years when building this. So they had to build a lot of these kind of more dense type of townhomes. Hey, it's me interrupting myself. Ready to make a move? Just one free call, no hassle, but decades of experience to work for you. Now let's move on to the upper component where we are talking about the red one. And this, I want to show you a floor plan. And yes, it is better than living in the basement, but one of the biggest problems is that you have a flight of stairs that is right here, which is what we call floor one, just to get into it. So imagine this. You walk into your unit, you open the door, and you're greeted by stairs. And again, lots of groceries, strollers, and kind of babies. It's very, very difficult. And because there's not much of a landing kind of to the back of this picture, you don't have any areas to put like a lot of jackets or a lot of shoes or even strollers. So a lot of times stuff is getting brought up and down, high traffic zones, and a lot of the paint over here is always scuffed up. And this aluminum channel over here is always kind of chipped every time I go to see one of these units. So imagine this, same thing. Once you come out of the underground parking, you go up this flight of stairs, which leads you into this other flight of stairs, just so you can get up to what I would say is kind of the pros of an upper unit of a stacked condo town. You have very open space, large floor to ceiling windows, and it functions, I would say, effectively like a open concept kitchen, living, and dining area because you do have enough space for that. And you will also have a powder room. And then you would go up another flight of stairs, generally most of the time to get to the bedroom, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, and you will have multiple bathrooms as well. And there's segregation in terms of living space. And one of the perks a lot of people do prefer is that they have outdoor terrace space so they can have barbecues out here. And that's always nice, especially coming from a condo where you have to take an elevator to go barbecue. Now let's move on to the second type of condo townhome, which is what I call the podium condo townhome. Now I'm going to explain to you what a podium is. So this yellow box that I've highlighted over here is effectively what we call the podium. It's like the base of a high rise, and you need that to structurally support the tower going up. And a lot of times builders will put condo townhomes there, sometimes they put retail. But because you have multiple stories on the podium, is how you can have 2, 3, I've even seen sometimes 4-story condo townhomes at the base. Now, this is just an example of what a condo townhome on a podium looks like. And you can see every single orange block here is one set of condo towns. And you can see that there is the kind of tower in the back with like your more traditional condo high-rise units. So in this example, I'm showing you, this would be actually one of the condo townhome units. And you can see that this is a tower in the back. And they very much look like traditional townhomes. I'll bet some of them are a little bit more narrow because they're trying to squeeze as much density between them. But you can see the concierge is actually over there in the lobby. And one of the pros to being in a podium condo townhome is that most condo high rises are in large major intersections that are very convenient. So in this example, this is actually like a 3-minute walk to Yonge and Sheppard. So you can like open this front door, and if accessing the subway is very important to you, you can walk downstairs into the subway in 3 minutes. Super convenient. And I'm showing this floor plan here to give you a sense that you could walk in through either this direction or this direction, and there's no stairs to access your main living room and dining room. Your real challenge is that this corridor here is a little bit tight in this particular example. And to access your bedrooms, you do have 2 additional flights of stairs because it's 3-story, whereas most people traditionally prefer 2 to reduce the number of stairs. But this is ultimately what happens when land becomes very hard to come by. And with condo townhomes, sometimes they have a backyard, sometimes they do not. It really just varies depending on the project. Now, one of the perks of the podium condo townhome is that you have access to all the amenities that are part of the condo as well. So you get your larger gyms, your pool tables, you got your actual pool and like a games room. And in this case, you have a theater room, sometimes bowling alley. And you have a lot of the things that you're normally expecting in a condo high rise, but you are living on the ground floor and you don't have to take the elevator. The big cons to this is that a lot of times your maintenance fee is actually proportionate to the condo high rise as well. Meaning when you get up to like say, 1,000+ square feet, your maintenance fee could be like $900 to $1,000 per month, which does increase your monthly carry costs if you want the convenience of the amenities and a better transit location. Now let's move into the third, which is your traditional condo townhomes. So this is what I would say most people are expecting when they say, hey, I want to buy a townhome. You have your 1-car garage over here. This home is set on 2.5 stories. So you walk up the stairs over here and your main floor is over here. But there are ones where you actually don't have to walk up the stairs. It just really depends on the grading. And you have your bedrooms kind of on the second floor that is up here. A lot of these traditional condo townhomes gear towards like the slightly older side. And that's mainly because these type of complexes require a lot more land to build. And as I've been saying in this video, the newer product tends to have less land. And this is why a lot of people do prefer the traditional condo townhome, because you get more land, even though it's a condo. A lot of the maintenance fees part of traditional townhomes are pretty low because they only include garbage removal, snow removal, not the driveway here itself most of the time, but the private road that's in the condo town complex. Usually have some landscaping. Sometimes we have gated communities, and that's kind of mainly it. On the off chance, if it's really old, I've seen utilities baked in because separately meter wasn't as common, but most of the time it's not. And with the inside, you can change it to whatever you like. You have your more traditional kind of layout. In this case, this person kind of renovated with like the white kitchen. They may have done the floors. And you can see the entrance is over here. This down gets you the basement. You do actually get a basement in this. And this way is actually to get you to the main floor. And then obviously this is the staircase over here to get you to the top floor. And you can see this is the basement, and you have access to one of the biggest things and why people want a townhome, backyard. So you can barbecue here. And you can see you have your own little patch of grass, whereas most of the times with the condo stack, you don't have a backyard. And with condo townhomes on the Podium, very rare to have a backyard, but doable. But the main difference between this and the Podium condo townhome is that the maintenance fee here generally is much lower. We're halfway through the 6 types of townhomes that are available in Toronto right now. And we want a one-pager, kind of like a cheat sheet, to understand all the pros and the cons, the characteristics, and what to watch out for in each different type of townhome. You can click on the link that's in the bottom and put in your email, and I'll send it right to you. So let's move on to the next category of townhomes, which is your freehold townhome. Now, the first subcategory of the freehold townhome is actually not a freehold. It's a freehold town with fees. And a lot of times when clients are browsing on their own, they won't actually know it's not a freehold property, because when every agent posts it, it's just kind of become the norm. They make it a freehold property, which is what this designation of attached row townhome 3-story means. But you can see over here in this little red arrow, it has a POTL fee. The POTL stands for Parcel of Tied Land, which I would say net, it's just a maintenance fee because it is still a condo at the end of the day. So this POTL fee actually includes landscaping, snow removal, and garbage collection, just like the traditional condo townhome I explained previously. And when I pull up the legal description for a lot of our clients, you can see right here, I highlighted the yellow part. Common element condominium plan number 1444. This is a condo. The main difference in this is that a lot of times these POTL fees are disguised as maintenance fees, but because they're newer, they're generally a little bit lower. And most of the time, the fee you're paying for all these services is actually very reasonable for the type of product you're getting. So a lot of people will actually overlook it and buy it. And because the freehold towns with fees are newer, you generally have newer finishes, they're a little bit more modern. You also have the higher ceilings, which this one has, so like 10 feet. And you do still have the attached garage over here with an entrance to access the back of the home. And a freehold town with fees is quite similar to a traditional condo townhome, is because they have private roads. And these are what the private roads are, meaning the city doesn't come do the snow removal and you have to pay for garbage collection. That's what the maintenance or POTL fee actually covers. And you can see that this one over here doesn't have a backyard. And it's very common for this because, again, land is very scarce. So you can see this is the private road where garbage collection happens, and the snow removal is going to be done by some kind of private service provider. And similar to the traditional townhome over here, you have to remove the snow for your own driveway. The difference between this and the traditional townhome is that this is basically the new generation of traditional condo townhomes, but you lack the backyard. Quick sidebar, if you're buying but not sure where to start or what's even a good deal, just hit the link in the description below, tell me what you're looking at, and I'll break it all down for you. No fluff, no BS, just real talk from a human and not just another chatbot. Now let's move to the first official freehold property, which is why I call it the back-to-back townhome. And the reason why it is called back-to-back is because you have no backyard, and this is one of the condo townhomes and this is another one. So they are literally back-to-back. And most of the time you will have a garage spot over here, and you also have a driveway space, so you can put 2 cars, but your outdoor space gets put up with the terrace. And the reason that we build this is because you can get a lot of square footage. So like I've seen these things go upward of like 1900 square feet, but you're over 1 story, 2 story, 3 story, and 4 story. And sometimes they actually even have basements as well. But it's just your footprint is very, very narrow and you lack the backyard. And you can see in this example over here, The garage is actually behind this wall over here. This is the main door that I had over here. And all you really have here is just like a conversation room, like a den to use as an office. And then you have to go upstairs to similar to the condo stacked upper unit where you have everything on one floor, open concept, open kitchen, living room, dining room, all on one floor. And you obviously have the staircase to go to the third and fourth floor for the bedrooms. And this is an example of a back-to-back freehold town that you would normally see. And you can see over here that you just have a little foyer landing area and you go right up the stairs, and this is for your garage. Then you get to your second floor, which is where you have that open living room space. Then you have the upper floor with all the bedrooms, and you can walk up to the terrace. And then this is kind of your basement. But because most of the time the land is very, very small on this, and you rarely see an excavated basement on top of the garage, you're only really left with like this tiny little spot for your basement, which generally ends up being like storage, or if someone wants to put like a very, very small gym over here. Now we finally get into what everyone thinks of when they're saying, hey, I'm gonna buy a town home, your traditional freehold town. So one of the freehold towns would basically be this unit over here. You do have the attached garage. You will have sometimes 1 or 2 driveway spots. And depending on the grading, you may walk up a couple stairs to the main floor. And when talking to a lot of buyers who are looking for your town home, they generally, I find, mean this, where you have your living space on the same floor as where your door is. You do have attached garage. You can have your bedrooms on the second floor because they're in the phase where they may be planning for having kids and you don't want too many stairs. And the idea of having the kid run around in the backyard is available in these traditional freehold towns. It's just we have a hard time building them in the city right now because land is so scarce. So these type of products have become quite scarce as well. So when you walk into your unit, you kind of see you're greeted by the main floor living space all over here. A lot of people may put like a den over here. Then you may have your dining area over here. And then you walk right into the kitchen. And sometimes you have like your living room and sofa and TV over here. And all the quote unquote living is done on this floor without any stairs. And you will generally have a powder room as well. And you can see then you go up the stairs and all the bedrooms will be on the third floor, with most of the time having a primary ensuite with the primary bedroom and like a secondary bathroom for the other 2 bedrooms to share. And the other key distinguishing factor of a traditional freehold town is that you have a larger basement. And because the land is much bigger, you have a larger basement. So you can actually build it out, finish it. You can have like a rec room, you can put a gym, you can put an office. It's totally up to you. There's a lot of space. Usually you get about like 70 to 60% of the kind of total space on the first floor in the basement. You just have to kind of knock out some of the space for the mechanical and you kind of like seal them off with drywall, right? And of course, the piece de resistance. Everyone wants that backyard for their kids to be running around in. Whether you interlock it or put grass, they are generally available. And this is generally just showing you what the layout of the first floor looks like. You can walk right into the living. You have your powder room over here. You have a garage space, and you also have a garage man door where you can walk into here and you can put shoes. So it all works, and you have most of your kitchen living here, and then you have the bedroom upstairs. And this would be kind of where you walk out to the backyard, all in one space, all free flowing. And that's what people are generally looking for when they say, I want to buy a town home. Now here comes kind of the decision point where there has to be compromise depending on the budget. And when I plot it out and I show this to a lot of our clients, this is kind of the continuum of how much you're willing to pay for something relative to the quality of life. And I put the explanation of every single type of townhome in this order because generally speaking, from 1 to 6, the price goes up. And obviously the quality of life also gets much better as you go towards the right. Because when you have a stacked townhome, you're compromising on stairs, underground parking, and sometimes even the basement unit. And when you get to the Podium condo townhomes, you get a lot of the things you get with 3, 4, 5, and 6, but your main problem really is that you're paying a major maintenance fee. And then when you get into 3 over here, which is traditional condo towns, you actually get all the benefits of a traditional freehold town if you find the right complex, but you pay a much less price. And if you find one with very low maintenance fee, I actually think the traditional condo town punches above its weight. It's the best value. And a good example to show you this is that if you get apples to apples, the same square footage in York region, you can get your traditional condo town for like $150,000 to $200,000 less than say your traditional freehold town. The only caveat is that sometimes you may pay like a $300-400 maintenance fee on your traditional condo town, but that more than justifies a $200,000 price reduction if your budget is tight. Now, obviously, if your budget affords a traditional freehold town, that will have better resale value on in the future when you want to upgrade to, say, a detached home. And then when we get to freehold towns with fees, your only compromise really here is that you don't have a backyard most of the time, and you do actually get a newer product. But obviously you do have the minor fee, but sometimes it's not that big of a deal because sometimes it's like $100 to like $200. And that's totally reasonable for the level of finish you get with the kind of freehold town without any compromises. And then you get to your official freehold town, which is your back-to-back. And there's really no big difference between, I would say, the freehold town with fees or the POTL and the back-to-back. It's just you have a clear designation that one is actually a freehold and the one with a fee is actually a condo, like I was explaining. And with the traditional freehold towns, you have none of the compromises of the original 5, but obviously it comes with a higher price point. And all 6 of these types of townhomes, I would actually call them as ground-based housing because it allows you to access your home without using an elevator. And what I'm seeing right now is this segment of the market is actually doing fairly poorly, even though there's a very large amount of people who want to get into the entry-level ground-based housing. But the challenge right now in this market is that the people who will be upgrading into this entry-level ground-based housing can't sell their condo because the condo market is soft. And a lot of these fake bidding wars are failing. And that's exactly what I talk about in this video right in front of you right now. So make sure you check it out if that's you. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya.